Shri Prakash Kothari, Chairman, ISBR Group of Institutions, Shri Manish Kothari, Managing Trustee, Dean Dr. Manohar, Dr. Chandra Niranjan, Dean Academics, Dr. Anandram, Shri Shiv Kumar, Shri Ravi Gururaj, Dr. Devika Gunashila, parents, faculty colleagues, students, and friends. It's such a pleasure to be here this afternoon and to share this very special occasion with all of you. It's also very special for me because whenever I think of my role as a Member of Parliament, as this large nation-building exercise that I am a small part of, I always realize that it's not something that just the elected leaders can accomplish. Building this nation and making it incredibly competitive on the global stage requires every one of us to go out and do something practically miraculous. And when I see ISBR, a group of institutions that has been set up more than 26 years ago and which continues to build new branches, to reach out to new groups of students and to create educational opportunities for people to learn and grow, I am really touched, I'm really happy to see that there are so many people taking that larger mission forward, and it is through their steps, through the kind of work that the Kotharis and others are doing, that we will eventually encash that demographic dividend that we are all eagerly awaiting. When you think about education, when you think about the graduates that are emerging into the world of the 21st century, we must look at them and say, what a lucky bunch of youngsters we have in front of us. And the reason I say this is because the world has changed dramatically over the last many decades. Many of us here actually studied and grew up in the 80s, 90s, etc., and graduated in those eras. And India was a very, very different country. The world itself was a different place. But the place where we are right now, Electronic City, is a symbol of the transformation of India that we've lived through without necessarily expecting to be where we are today. Electronic City itself was started, 30, 40, 50 years ago. Mr. Baliga and others who had the vision of setting up a place for electronics manufacturing, the government of India setting up a place which allowed for satellite transmission of data, things like that. And none of them, Baliga certainly didn't live long enough to see what emerged later on, but none of us imagined that, or for that matter, the companies that are here, Infosys, etc., also were started a long time ago. And none of them imagined that we would get where we are today. And where we are today is a world where many things have changed dramatically. When I wanted to go and study in the United States, there was one British library in Bangalore. There still is only one, but there was just one book about US universities in that library. And we had to go and look at that, and every university is covered in the same manner. And so we didn't even have information on where to apply and what to do, etc. So I used to read magazines and things like that fairly widely. And so I just had a very simple goal. I said, I should go to the Ivy League and I should study with a Nobel laureate. And lo and behold, I was actually able to do that. And but the basic point is, it was not the world that we exist in today, where the internet has opened the world of information to each and every one of you. And as it has done that, it has also fundamentally leveled the playing field, not just in terms of access to knowledge, but also in terms of access to markets, to give you a sense of being able to operate on a global stage like never before. Previously, when you think, I was talking to the Kotharis, and Prakash was telling me about how his family moved from Rajasthan, from Bombay to Hubli, and how he grew up there and became a builder and made a larger impact. And Manish moved to Bangalore and set up this institution, amongst other things. So in those generations, the vision, the horizon was from one city to another, from one domain to another. Today, for all of you, it is not confined to one city or the other, one country or the other. The entire globe is out there waiting for you, your idea, your product, whatever it is that's going to make a mega impact. And I think that many of you will actually be back here in 10, 20 years, sharing the stage, celebrating your success on the global stage. Now, when we think about this, right? One of the things that made this possible was the fact that, decades ago, the companies that established here had a vision. They had a vision that they need not just confine themselves to Bangalore, Karnataka, India, but that they had some way of reaching out to the rest of the world and providing services that would allow our own people to transform, to add value in unique ways. And over the years, we've been very, very happy to see the kind of development that's occurred in this region, and as a result, Bangalore city itself has been put on the global map. Now, when you think about that kind of vision and impact, there are many things in the neighborhood around you. Many times we say, you should be in a place where the air is fresh and where people are nice, etc. And here, actually, the air has something else to it. The air has that sense of entrepreneurship, right? So there is entrepreneurship in the air. There are role models for you everywhere around. And along with that, as Manish Kothari mentioned in his initial speech, people have not just stuck to being entrepreneurs. Many of them have also become philanthropists and social entrepreneurs. So this is the best of both worlds. When you have people here who can inspire you to go forth and make a difference in a way that never was possible earlier, and to also take that extra step and think about how to make a larger impact on society itself. Now, when we think about how the world is changing, I'll come back to that larger theme once again. But I was just thinking about how the world is changing dramatically over the last few years, the world that you're entering into as graduates. And uniquely for most schools, all of you have actually spent a year in industry before coming back. Most people, graduate after their second year, and then we say bye-bye, and that's pretty much it. But here, you actually had a chance to come back and to share, where you're working, what you're doing, how you've grown, how you've built on the foundation that your faculty members have given you. Now, but the world has been changing dramatically. In the last 10, 15 years, we've seen India certainly emerge on the global map as in the service economy, in terms of our brains and our ability to translate those brains into value, into dollars on a mega scale. We've also seen manufacturing move away from the West to China, and now China itself actually slow down a little bit. And most recently, what have the newspaper headlines been about? Brexit, whatever that is. Anyway, so basically what Brexit really signifies in terms of the way the world is changing. See, all these years we were talking about globalization, integration, opening up of new markets, etc. And now we're starting to see a backlash. We're starting to see other kinds of sentiments, like concerns about immigration, concerns about people natives losing jobs. When I was looking at these colors, I was reminded of our Karnataka flag. So there's always the native element, in all of us here. And the point is that those sentiments also matter. And today, what you've seen in Britain, by the narrowest of margins, is a retreat from the European common market, for which people have fought and struggled and inspired others for decades and decades. Britain and the people who voted to leave the European Union may not necessarily know what they actually did, but it does represent a turning point. Now, where things will go, what will happen to Europe, what will happen to global trade agreements, etc., is a larger issue. We will see how things unfold. But what this does to all of us is it also possibly tells us that that big global market that we were hoping to capture may start erecting a barrier here, closing a door there. Something like this may happen. So we must be prepared to focus on our own country. And here we have an extraordinarily large demographic base. We have a huge market. We have all kinds of new possibilities, which is the most successful FMCG company in the last year. Yeah, I heard it. Well, Patanjali, right? Of course. You know, Baba Ramdev's new entity, which has given a run for the money to all the established FMCG players in a variety of product spaces. So anything is possible, and there is a huge market. There is a huge thirst domestically, and there are numerous inefficiencies within the domestic market that can provide the opportunity for companies that are coming forward and getting rid of those inefficiencies, adding value in a way that we had not thought about. Bangalore itself, for example, is supposed to be the hometown of a number of startup companies in the financial technology space, what's called fintech startups. People who are looking for ways to change the way banks and finance and people-to-people lending and numerous other such domains, how they've been changing dramatically over time. And many of us in our 50s may not know what these all mean and signify, but all of you are already there. You have your Paytm wallets, you have got various other things that I only read about, and in that sense, you are the generation that's going to be there at the cutting edge of transforming, harnessing these technologies, developing these technologies, and making a huge difference to financial inclusion and things like that. So this country we've really just touched the tip of the iceberg. We've got a huge, huge market. There's tremendous potential here. You've got to set yourself that goal. And I think the kind of immersion that you've had in your 2 years in the institute and then in the year outside should have given you that vision, that confidence. The mentors that you engaged with, I actually have always argued that mentoring is one of the key things that we need in India, and so I was really pleased I've also mentored an organization called Mentor Together, which works with underprivileged children. So this sort of a thing where people, whether teachers or industry figures, spend time with youngsters and engage in opening their minds, showing them directions, supporting them in their decisions. All this is really going to make a huge difference going forward. Now, therefore, when you think about what the possibilities are in front of you, just do not be limited by anything at all. Okay? This world is there just waiting for you to come up with new ideas. At the same time, I want to mention a couple of things. One is in connection with the theme of this year, the year of giving. In India, and the rest of the world for that matter, not only is the economy growing, are we improving on the GDP per capita calculation, we're improving on the Human Development Index, all those sorts of things. But another thing that's rapidly increasing is inequality. The rich are getting richer, the poor are falling behind. And if this continues over time, you will see a backlash. You'll see some kind of a backlash sort of thing. I mean, Brexit is also essentially a backlash from people who felt that we're not getting jobs, we don't have a future, let's blame somebody else out there and find a way to break out and carve out a new trajectory for ourselves. So it's extraordinarily important for us, even from a self-interest point of view, to also pay attention, to look over our shoulder and see who's fallen behind. And if we don't do that, we run the risk of getting tripped on our own path to moving forward. See, there, again, this air here is a very, very good air to be breathing, because Infosys across the road was one of the companies that emphasized sharing the wealth with their employees, right? And for that matter, we have inspirations like Azim Premji and Wipro, who are giving away a huge chunk of their wealth as well. So we have to have not just passion, we also need compassion and empathy, ways for which, devote some portion of our time to making a difference to society. And when you do this without self-interest, without a goal of wanting to be recognized or anything like that, just do it for its own sake, you will find that you become a better human being, and you will be, much less stressed out or whatever else that goes on in life, because you will have had that balance. You would have had that sense that, you know what, I will not be envious or jealous. I have seen how others are, and I've seen how much better off. There's a poem called "My Cup Has Overflown." But regardless of how difficult life might be, you say actually that, you know, if you look at the blessings that you've had, you're actually doing amazingly well. 90% of this country doesn't have the opportunities that you do have. So think about that. Think about ways to give, contribute, work together with community organizations like the Rajasthan community group that is now doing such good work. You know, that's the kind of reaching out and giving back that can make a huge, huge difference. Then finally, think about the other part that really matters. We came to ISBR to learn, to gain new knowledge, skills, techniques, etc. Well, the fact that you're here at your graduation ceremony and that you're moving on does not mean that this is the end of your education. I would urge you to continuously invest in yourself. Okay, basically think about it. Think about learning a new language, learning a new technology, immersing yourself in some new experience. But throughout the rest of your life, continuously focus on adding some new dimension to what you already are. You're already something great, but find ways to figure out new dimensions and new techniques, new capabilities. I may be speaking like this in English without really much in the nature of notes, but I wasn't able to do this 25 years ago. And even today, I won't be able to do this same thing as fluently in Kannada or now in English, in Hindi, as I am probably required to do on the national stage. So there is no shortage of new learning opportunities, new targets to set, new disciplines to impose on oneself. And it's not easy, but it's something worth doing. And if you feel that education in the form of new courses are something that you require, then today the world has got something called massively open online courses, where the best professors in the world are sharing their knowledge with you, and you can actually put in the time and effort and pick up new things along the way. So really, this is a wonderful time to be graduating. This is a wonderful time to be thinking about how to go forth and make a huge impact. This is a good time to think about how you come back after 1 year to ISBR, and met your old classmates, to build an alumni association, to reach out and engage with your juniors in the current batches, and to build the sort of alumni association that would make this institution stronger, would make every one of you and those who follow you, the ones who preceded you, all proud to have been graduates of this wonderful institution. So I wish you the very best, and I am confident that I will come across you in some other stage, and I will be congratulating you for your success in the years to come. All the very best. Thank you.